Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of this series brought to you by Mawi'Art. And in today's episode we're going to be talking about how to grow an online presence, how to use social media to your advantage. Stay tuned. Now in today's world, social media is extremely important to use, and it's a really effective tool in order to get your name out there. You could do this globally, nationally, internationally. Whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, the chances are that using social media is going to help you achieve that goal. And so, where do you start? There's all sorts of different apps: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can use LinkedIn. You can use Facebook Marketplace. There's all these kind of online platforms that you can use that are available to you as an artist, but how do you use those apps to the best of their ability? And some of these rules apply across all platforms that you use, and some of them are unique to different types of apps. But today we're going to be focusing on 4 apps that I think would really help you today if you were to start using social media as an artist. And if you already do use social media for your artwork, consider this talk as something that you can use in order to upgrade your social media presence and take it to that next step. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is Facebook. Facebook has been kind of the holy grail of online presences for a long time now. But it has changed a lot over the years, and Facebook can now be used in order to sell your work. In fact, a lot of you have probably done that, have listed your work for sale on Facebook and have sold your work to people that you know or people that are on your friends list. But how do you take Facebook and how do you use it to really push your work out there and get noticed on a bigger scale? The first thing that I would suggest to you is that you make your own Facebook page. I myself am a photographer, and so I have a Facebook page called Nate Gaffney Photography. It's plain and simple because that's what I do. If you're a beadworker, you might have your name and then beadworking. If you have a name for your business or company, you would use that name and then followed by what it is that you do. And you want to be really clear with people about who it is that you are and what it is that you do, because people don't want to land on your page and be really confused about what it is that you're talking about, what it is that you're doing. They just won't stay on your page because it won't really make sense to them as a viewer. And that brings up the important point of staying consistent. So, after you've made your Facebook page, what you want to do is post things that relate to the subject matter of that page. And what I mean by that is if you're a beadworker, you don't want to be posting things that are completely irrelevant to beadworking. And this is because you will slowly gain a following because you are a beadworker. Now, if you're a beadworker and then you start talking about surfboarding, your audience is going to lose their retention to your work. They're not going to be as interested, and over time you won't really see the growth that you're looking for. So before you start pushing your work out there on the internet at all, there's a few things that you've got to get down pat. Number one is that your name is crystal clear. It's indicative of what it is that you do. Your page represents that accurately, and so you're only sharing content that is related to what it is that you do. Okay, because the moment that you stray away from that, people will get confused about what it is that you do and what it is that you offer, and so they won't stick around. When you stick to that formula, you will grow. Okay, so now that we have that kind of basic understanding with your Facebook page about what it is that you want to be sharing and talking about, you need to start sharing consistently. I'm going to keep going back to this example of a beadworker. I know that a lot of you are beadworkers. There's basket makers, wood carvers, painters, quill workers. There's all sorts of different types of artists, but the same rules apply for everybody. But the point is that you want to be posting consistently. So if I'm a beadworker, I want to be posting pictures of what it is that I'm working on a consistent basis throughout the week for weeks and weeks and weeks to come, and you want that to become a schedule for you. And you don't want to miss uploading at these times and dates that you've set for yourself, because what happens is that Facebook starts to recognize, okay, this person is going to upload their content on this day at this time, and so that's when people can start to recognize and kind of wait for your content to come out. It's good to be sharing things kind of here and there, yes, but having that kind of strict content schedule will allow your audience to gain some traction on when it is they can expect a post from you, and that's a really important thing when you're growing your online presence. So far, we've covered that you need a crystal clear name. You need to only share things that are relevant to what it is that you said you were going to share on your page. It needs to represent who it is you are as a person and what it is that your page represents. And then we've covered that you need to be posting consistently. So what does this consistently look like? Well, that's up to you. You could post every single day at the same time every day, and that might be difficult because maybe some of you only have work that you're making once a week or once a month, okay? So if that's the case, you can slow it down a bit. You don't need to post every day. You can post twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever schedule is convenient for you and that works for you based on how much work that you produce is how much you should post per week. Once you figure that out, lock in that schedule and commit to it, and you will see a steady growth on your page. Now, this steady growth that you're going to experience isn't going to skyrocket overnight. And while it might do something like that if you happen to post something that goes viral, which would be incredible for you, chances are is that it's going to be a gradual incline. And while you're experiencing this gradual incline in following, it's important that you stay on that schedule. So you've created a Facebook page, you've decided what kind of content you're gonna post and stick to when you post, and you've decided that you're gonna have a schedule. So what now? Well, with Facebook, there's lots of things that you can do. You can use hashtags, you can pay for advertisements, and you can share it. What I recommend that you do is find some sort of group on Facebook. So I want you to go up to the search bar and type in Basket Makers New Brunswick, Basket Makers Canada, Indigenous Art Canada, Indigenous Art New Brunswick, Indigenous Art Newfoundland, Indigenous, it doesn't matter. Look up as many things that you can think of that relate to you as an artist. And if there are any groups for those things, I want you to join those groups. Some of these groups you might have to ask permission in order to get into these groups, but what's really, really important is that once you're accepted into these groups, you can now share your work with everybody that's in that group, and you can start to build a network. And not only are you starting to build a network, you're also gaining followers from those groups. You're creating attraction to your page as an artist, and this is really important. And the best thing is that there's no limit to the amount of groups that you can join on Facebook. You could be part of 200 different groups that are somewhat relevant to what it is that you do, and you can be posting your work on those groups every single time that you make a piece of content. And if you really, really want the growth, this is something that you will do. A lot of people say, I'm just not growing online. I've put in all this work, and I'm just not seeing the results that I want to see. Well, the problem here is that they might be putting in a lot of work in terms of the content itself and then coming up with a clever caption and then posting regularly, but they're not taking that extra step in order to really push their work out there and identifying groups that will consume their content. Go to the search bar, type in as many different things that you can think of that might be an existing group out there in the Facebook world, join those groups, and then start posting your work there every time you post. This will absolutely help you grow your audience. One thing that I would advise that you do not do is buy followers, buy likes. Don't ever spend money on buying fake followers or fake likes for any of these apps. The reason being is because those apps can identify when you do something like that, and basically they'll just drown you out. Okay, so your work won't be getting out to anybody because your work will be only shown to these fake accounts who don't actually interact with your work. They're just fake, right? You want real people to be brought to your page, and you want that growth to be organic. You can't fake it by buying things. If that is something that you choose to do, unfortunately, it's not sustainable long term, and eventually you will have to start a new page over. So my advice is to make sure it's authentic and let it grow organically. So at this point, while talking about Facebook, we know that you should have your own Facebook page. You should be posting content that relates to you and what it is that you're doing as an artist. You should be posting on your page on a consistent basis that you have decided for yourself that is convenient for you. And you should be reaching out to all sorts of different groups with your work every time that you post your work. If you follow these 4 steps, people will be drawn to your page more and more and more as the weeks go on. And it is that consistency of posting and interacting on the app that tells Facebook that you are somebody who is an active user, who is trying to grow, and what will happen is they will start to push you out further and further and further, and you will be recognized. The last step that I would recommend to you right now, just getting started on Facebook, is that you link your other social media accounts to your Facebook. Another thing that I recommend for your Facebook page itself is that you fill out all of the information that it asks you to fill out. So you want to put your name, you want to write a little bio about yourself, what it is that you do, And then you want to link all of your other social apps. If you have an Instagram, you're going to want to link your Instagram. If you have a website, you're going to want to link your website, link everything that it is that you're active on. And then what will happen is that people will start to explore your work on different apps. And this is really, really important because eventually it grows a big social community around all of your apps, which increases the amount of eyes that are going to see your work. Maybe it is that some people on Facebook will see your work, but those same people won't be exposed to your work on Instagram. But if you advertise your Instagram to those Facebook people, then they will see your Instagram and your Instagram will grow. And so you want to use these cross platforms to kind of grow yourself across all levels. So for now, I think that is a good amount of tips for Facebook itself, and there are other apps that we're about to get to. But what I will say here is that no app is guaranteed to last in terms of relevance forever. And what I mean by that is that Facebook could be popular right now, but in a month from now, it could just not be popular. Instagram is really, really popular. It has been for years, but that doesn't mean that it always will be for years. And this is why it's important to be uploading your work across all these different platforms, because that means that you can grow an audience on each and one of these platforms, and then you're not just stuck to one of them, right? Because if you are stuck to one of them and that crashes, then you have to start all over again. But if you've been distributing your audience's attention across all of your platforms, then chances are if one of them crashes, you're going to be okay because you'll have an audience on another one. So the next app that we're going to talk about is Instagram. And Instagram is interesting because it's actually run by Facebook, but it runs a lot differently than Facebook. And I'll explain why here in a second after we go over the kind of basics of Instagram and what Instagram is about. So Instagram is an app where you can share a picture and it is instantly shown to potentially thousands and thousands and thousands of people. But it's not that easy. When you post a picture on Instagram, because the app has billions of users, it is so oversaturated. You're essentially a drop of water in an ocean. So how do you make yourself stand out on Instagram? How do you have a fighting chance on that kind of app? Well, it's very similar to Facebook in that you need to be posting consistently all of the time. Okay, so the more that you post, the more that your work is going to be pushed out to other people. So first things first, when you first create your Instagram account, you're going to pick a username. I would avoid using any numbers in your username. You want to have kind of a memorable username that represents who you are. My Instagram username is just Nate Gaffney. It's just my name. Okay, so when you type in Nate Gaffney, there I am, you can click it, and there's my profile. And that's a little bit more memorable than Nate Gaffney 1996-2_ something random, right? So you want to have a more clear name, and that's number one when you're setting up your page. Next, you'll have a bio where you can kind of explain who you are. I wouldn't get too wordy here. You could just keep it down to one word answers here. So you might be a beater. So let's say that I'm a beater and my page looks like this. Nate Gaffney, beater, indigenous, Wolastoqiyik. There you go. And that little bit of information is basically all you need to tell. So just tell the people that are going to be coming to your page exactly what it is that you do and what your page is about. That way they have something to latch onto, very similar to the Facebook idea. And then you're going to be posting content that relates to that so that your page is nice and consistent. So if I'm posting photography all of the time, I'm not going to just start posting things about food because that is unrelated. So again, be consistent with what it is you said you were going to talk about and you said you were going to share on Instagram. That will help you grow quite a lot. It's actually much easier to grow online if you appeal yourself to a niche group opposed to everybody. And the reason for that is because people can see your work, they can latch on to what it is that you do, and then it will grow because of that one thing. But if you try to be 5 or 10 things, you're spreading yourself too thin in order for people to really latch onto it. And especially this is true in Instagram because there are billions of users that are doing very similar things that you do. You know, if you start talking about writing on your Instagram page, you're probably the 1 millionth person to do that, you know? So you want to stay niche and you want to stay consistent with what it is that you said that you were going to talk about. If you're a beater, stick to the beadwork. If you're a quill worker, stick to the quill work. If you're an indigenous artist that covers a few things, you're multidisciplinary, say that in your bio, I do this, this, and this, and then just post those things. And that is a really big tip for you if you're trying to grow your online presence on Instagram. Hashtags are an absolute must on Instagram, and a lot of hashtags are related to pages. Now, what do I mean by this? there are pages on Instagram that will feature your work. So for an example, the page Canada features photos from photographers who take pictures in Canada or of Canada. If I were to post a picture and I wanted that page to feature my work, I would put the hashtag Canada and I would tag them on the photo. Now, this is really, really important because this can make you grow big time. If your work gets featured on a big page and there are hundreds of thousands of people following that page, that means your picture is potentially going to be shown to hundreds of thousands of people that might come over to your page and start to follow you. And that's exactly why you're going to do this. I would pick hashtags that were created by pages in order to feature you. You might be wondering how to find these types of pages, and it's the same thing as Facebook. Go on Instagram, go under the accounts tab, so you're just searching accounts, and then type in feature pages. So literally type in feature page, art feature page, indigenous feature page, and just keep doing that until you find some pages. Do your research, and I promise you that will pay off for you in the long run. Another way you can do it, if you don't necessarily want to be featured, or maybe you're just not trying to be featured, is just use hashtags, simple hashtags that relate to your work. So I just made a basket, I posted a beautiful picture of it. In the description, I'm going to include some hashtags, and what I'm going to include is indigenous artwork, Wolastoqey artwork if you're Wolastoqey, basketry, indigenous basketry. The list goes on, and this is exactly what it is that you want to do, and I think you can fit about 20 hashtags or so into your description. You want to post as many hashtags as the app will allow you to post, because this might actually push your work out to some new viewers. Instagram is a little bit more in depth with Facebook, and so I'll try to make it as simple to understand here as possible. But while on the topic of hashtags, I want to point out that some hashtags are more popular than others. What I mean by that is if you use the hashtag basketry might have hundreds of thousands of posts. So hundreds of thousands of people have posted a picture using the hashtag basketry, right? So when you use that hashtag, your picture is being tossed into this ocean of hundreds of thousands of other pictures, and so it's not standing out as much. But what is a good idea is to use hashtags that have less shares so that your picture stands out more. When you use hashtags that have less shares, your picture will stand out more, and what happens is your picture will get more likes. But this isn't to say that you should not use big hashtags. And the reason why I say this is you want to have a mixture of smaller hashtags and bigger hashtags. The reason for this is because if you post a picture with a smaller hashtag and it starts to gain momentum through that smaller hashtag, it might start to rise in rank in the higher hashtags, in the bigger hashtags. And this is really, really important because it means that you just use the smaller hashtags as momentum to be seen on the bigger hashtags, and now you're getting much more exposure, and that is a good trick to use. So do your research with your hashtags. I would say pick 5 to 10 smaller hashtags and then 5 to 10 bigger hashtags, and start using those hashtags on every single picture that you post, right? Because then your work will be often seen within those hashtags and the community of people that search them. If you have Instagram, you probably have realized that Instagram has a story feature where you're able to share stories with people, where you're able to share small clips of video, or you can share pictures or repost posts that you like on your story for people to see. There's no limit as to how many stories that you can post in one day. And what I recommend is that you take advantage of this story feature, because what it allows you to do is to engage with your audience on Instagram on a regular basis. Say you've made a content calendar, okay, and a schedule. You've told yourself, I'm going to upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, Wednesday comes around and you don't have a post to upload, but you can still use your story. This story capability allows you to engage with your audience, maybe when you're not ready to make a post. And that is really, really important because you want to engage with your audience every single day. And this will keep their retention on your page high, which ultimately is what you need in order to grow. The more people that often look at your page and keep coming back to it, the more the app will recognize that you're a page that is trying to grow, and it will push you into the eyes of more people. If a ton of people are looking at your work all the time, then the app is going to say, hey, this is a really good account, we should share it to more people. And then that is how you start to grow. So Take advantage of your stories. Try to make at least one story every single day. If you can make more, that's fantastic. And what I actually would recommend you do is write down a list of story ideas that you can do. And that way throughout the week, you're not just thinking, what can I make a story of today? It's like, oh, I have this list of things that I can do. So now I'm going to make a story of all of the gear that I have and talk about all of the art equipment that I have and share that knowledge with other people. And that could be a story. And you can make stories about anything that you want that relates to your work. Take advantage of that. Having an active page is so important. I can't stress that enough. And if you're not seeing the growth that you want, it's probably because you're not putting in the work that you could, right? So keep posting regularly. Make sure you're consistent with the type of content that you're posting. Use hashtags. Take advantage of the story function. And I promise you will start to see some growth. If you can get featured on some bigger pages, that is something I recommend as well. That will make you grow like crazy. At this point, going into 2021, Instagram is so oversaturated. There are billions of users. And so for you to just start now seems like a really, really big feat. How am I supposed to grow in 2021 on Instagram? If you follow those steps, you will steadily grow. I promise you that. So we've covered Facebook and we've covered Instagram. And by the way, if there are any questions on either of these apps or you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me and how to use these apps, I'm totally available for that. And you can email me at communications@mawi'art.org and we can absolutely set up a date over Zoom to go over this stuff. I would be happy to help. The next app that we're going to talk about that you might not have thought is going to make the list is, yes, it's actually TikTok, because TikTok is absolutely exploding right now. The app isn't very old right now, and so the algorithm, and if you don't know what I mean by algorithm, the algorithm is basically the system of the app and how the app spreads people's work. The algorithm tells the app what posts are big, what posts are worth sharing, what posts aren't. And those algorithms are created by the people that work for those apps. With TikTok, TikTok is still fairly young and the algorithm is actually in your favor. You can share a video literally about nothing and have it explode overnight. You can post 15-second videos, 30-second videos, 1-minute videos on TikTok, and those videos have such a high chance of being seen. Sign up for TikTok and make simple videos about what it is that you're doing. And then use hashtags that are relevant. So it's the same similar formula as before with Instagram and with Facebook, but TikTok is really, really easy because you can do it on the fly. You don't have to spend a week making a basket just to take some photos of it just to post on Instagram later that week. You can take up your phone and film different things in your office, in your work studio. You can film yourself. You can film the work that you have been created, the work that you have created. There are so many different ideas that you can do with short format video that are absolutely amazing for the app, and you could possibly get really, really big overnight from TikTok. And I can't stress this enough, link your other social media accounts to your TikTok account, okay? Because if your video goes viral and it gets hundreds of thousands of views overnight, a lot of those people are gonna wanna see more. And so they might go to your Instagram and then all of a sudden you've gained 1,000 followers on Instagram. Interlink the apps. This is what we talked about earlier, and it's so important to do this. Take advantage of TikTok. I know there's kind of a stigma around TikTok where only young people use it or younger generations use it, and sure, that's fine. They definitely do use it, but there is a space on there for fine arts, indigenous culture. Take advantage of that. People really, really want to see that stuff. When people don't know anything about your culture and they can learn just a little bit about it by watching a 15-second video, they will totally do that, and they will like it, and they will share it, and they will tell their friends about it. This is an app that you can take advantage of right now that is absolutely going to help your career as an artist, because it's going to push people to buy your work. It's going to push people to other apps that you already have that you're using, and your audience is going to grow. What happens when your audience grows? You make more sales, you get bigger and better project ideas, you get amazing grants, you get amazing opportunities. This is why we're trying to grow at all, is to make those sales, to get those opportunities with other people, to grow a community, to grow a network. This is how you're going to really get to that professional stage as an artist, and social media is a wonderful tool to do that. What is really great about TikTok as well is the music that you can choose to put on your videos isn't copyrighted, and there are millions of songs on that app that are popular viral songs. Like your favorite songs are probably on that app for you to use, and you won't get in trouble for using those songs. That's another really, really cool thing about TikTok. The interesting thing about TikTok, you can keep posting very, very similar videos back to back. One video that you post might get 5,000 views, and then you thought it was a good concept, and so you kind of want to try it again, and so you share a very similar video or the same video a week later, and that video could get 100,000 views. The app is in a very early stage of its life, and it's pushing out videos just to see how people react to them, who's going to be established as big entertainers or big creators on the app. So right now you have a really, really good opportunity to grow on TikTok and then grow everywhere else, and that's exactly what you should be doing if you're serious about growing your online presence. To set up a TikTok page is very, very easy. You go onto the app, you can either sign up by using your phone number or your email. You create a username, you do a bio, same formula as Instagram, put in your bio exactly who it is that you are, what it is that you're about, and what it is that you're going to be sharing, and that's it. Leave it there, and then share content that relates to that thing. Keep that consistent. This is your professional profile where people are coming to check out your professional work. So they don't want to see what it is that you were doing on the weekend. They just want to see your work in a professional setting. And when you provide that to them, they're going to be happy and your work will get noticed. I promise you that. The fourth app that I'm going to be talking about today, or platform that I'm going to be talking about today, it was a toss-up between two of them, but I chose to mention YouTube today. YouTube is an incredible platform that has been around for a very long time and has a lot of users on it, so it is competitive to grow. However, YouTube is a fantastic way to show long-form content. So TikTok, you can share 15-second videos to 1-minute videos, and that's not a very long time to kind of delve into your work and talk. But with YouTube, you can share an hour-long video. When you're on YouTube, you can really, really get in depth with what it is that you want to talk about and share and showcase. You can make mini movies. If you're into using cameras, you can make it very cinematic. YouTube is an amazing platform that people love to kind of tune into, and you see it replacing TV. I know a lot of people don't even watch TV anymore because of Netflix and because of YouTube. Go onto YouTube, find your favorite YouTubers, and then just binge watch their content for hours. Well, that could be you. And what's interesting on YouTube is that people who are very niche or unique get a lot of attention over time, as long as they stick to that consistent basis. So the basics of YouTube, you're going to sign up to YouTube with your email. And once you have a YouTube channel, you can customize your channel to make it look however you want. And then you're going to start uploading your videos. If you need YouTube tips, feel free to contact me, but also just look on YouTube itself. Type in how to make an appealing YouTube channel, or how to make your first YouTube video, or YouTube is so packed with so much knowledge. It's unbelievable. You can teach yourself so much with that app. In fact, pretty much everything that I've talked about today, my foundation knowledge came from YouTube. I was just interested, so I looked up on YouTube what it is that I wanted to know, and within an hour I probably knew how to do it, because YouTube does deliver like that. So once you have your page kind of set up on YouTube, you're going to stick to that same idea. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to upload a video maybe once a week, right? Making longer form content videos does take a little bit more time, and so you do want to give yourself a bit of space in order to make a good video to post. You're going to find a schedule that works for you and commit to it, and make sure the content that you're posting is relevant to what it is that you're going to say. That is the main takeaway today. Here's the perfect scenario for you of how you would grow an excellent online presence. Say right now you do not have any pages set up. You don't have a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. You don't have anything set up. You can create all of those things in the same day. So you're going to sit down, make your Facebook, make your Instagram, make your TikTok, make your YouTube channel. Okay. You're going to make one post on every single one of those things. Okay. And say one of them does really well. Say the TikTok video does kind of well. You're going to make sure that all of those platforms have links to each other. So your TikTok is going to have a link to your YouTube channel, your Instagram, and your Facebook page, and your whatever else that you want to include. Because if people see it, they're going to go to your other channels, and that's how you grow an audience. The perfect scenario here is that you post a video, let's say on TikTok, and it explodes overnight. You get a ton of attention to your Instagram, your Facebook, and your YouTube, and now you've started to create some sort of platform for yourself, and that will only grow if you keep following that formula over time. Time is a really, really big takeaway here. Don't expect things to happen overnight. Develop the patience and the consistency of posting on a regular basis. But if you do put in that patience and you do put in that consistency, you will grow over time, and you never know, you might just put out something that goes viral. You just don't know. The major takeaways today are: stay accurate when you're making your name. Have a name and profile that's accurate to what you do. So make sure it represents the fact that you're an artist and specifically what kind of art that you do. Post consistently. Develop some sort of schedule where you post on all of these different apps consistently. Make sure that your apps are linked to one another, just in case one of them does really well. It will affect the other ones. It will help you out on the other apps. And then install some patience. Really put some work into your content that you're posting. Make sure that it's good quality or well thought out, that you're putting this stuff out and you have something to say about it. People will really resonate and identify when your work is well done. And that's something that I definitely advise people to do when they're starting out. Honorable mentions are Twitter, and LinkedIn. If you want to use those apps, you can absolutely use those apps as well. It's a good idea to use all of them, but I know that a lot of you guys are visual creators, and so I urge you to use the 4 that I talked about today. Those are kind of my 4 pillars, and I have seen success for myself in some of them, and I know a lot of people that have used these 4 pillars have seen tons and tons of success in their career, and so I want the same for you. If you have any questions whatsoever about any of these apps, or you're just kind of not sure where to get started, or you just need help talking about content or a schedule or whatever it is, please email me at communications@mawi'art.org and I will personally help you get started. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into today's episode. That was a lot of information thrown at you, but I hope you feel motivated in order to take some action for yourself on these social media apps. I promise you, if you commit to them and you use them on a consistent basis, you will see some amazing growth. As an artist, that will help you tremendously. Again, thank you for tuning in today, and I will see you in the next episode.